Today, we're chatting about a film that honestly wasn't even on my film release radar for 2025. I saw Last Breath as part of AMC's Screen Unseen series, where you go in completely blind, only knowing the film's rating and runtime. And let me tell you, I was not expecting this one. Again, I hadn't seen a single ad, trailer, or quite frankly, social media post about it, which made the experience a true surprise this time around. So, was it worth the watch? Let's dive in. No pun intended. Before we get into the details, quick spoiler warning here. If you want to go in not knowing about this, much like I did, maybe pause, watch the movie, and come back, or you can jump to this time code here if you want to know my rating. But if you're cool with knowing what happens, let's keep going. First off, this film is directed by the same man, Alex Parkinson, who made the Last Breath Netflix documentary. And the way the film starts, it feels like documentary footage. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it is footage from the documentary of the same name. Takes place in Scotland, or at least that's where our main character is from, and it follows a deep sea dive crew working on an underwater gas pipeline. I will say the cast here, solid. We've got Finn Cole, who I personally most know him from Peaky Blinders. He's playing Chris. We have Simu Liu as Dave, and Woody Harrelson as Duncan, who is, by the way, on his final dive here in this film before he is officially retiring. And after watching this movie, I totally get why he'd be retiring from this. Although, frankly, I don't know why anyone would even want to do this job. I don't know how much these deep sea divers get paid, but it's not enough. A month living in a tiny pressurized chamber, diving for 6 hours straight. No, couldn't be me. And then of course the worst happens to cause our drama here in the film. And again, this is based on a real life story. Chris is what they refer to in biblical court, or what he's attached to the main ship to in order to make his way back. He snaps and he's left stranded underwater with only 10 minutes of emergency oxygen available for him to use. And this is where the movie shifts into a full-on survival thriller mode. Most of the second half of the film were more so focused on the ship's crew rather than, again, Woody and Simu and Chris's characters, while they're working to fix the ship's offline systems so they can even attempt a rescue Chris. They try using a robotic camera, but Chris had the presence of mind before he passed out once his oxygen supply ran out to clip himself in place so that he wouldn't be moved with, the sea, which was a smart move, but also it means that camera has no way of actually being able to bring him back. By the time they actually get the ship operational again, we learn that Chris has been without oxygen, unconscious, for 29 minutes, nearly a half hour. At that depth and temperature, they say there's no reason he really should be alive, but somehow he is. The film never gives a concrete explanation as to how he ended up surviving this ordeal. Simu's character eventually is able to get to him. And honestly, it seems like neither do the real life experts, judging by what we're told at the end here, what we learn at the end of the film. Apparently, it was just this perfect storm of conditions that somehow enabled him to survive the ordeal. Now, you'd think that after all this, Chris would quit immediately, never to go on another one of these missions again. But no, in fact, all three of the men, again, Chris, Duncan, and Dave, all went back to finish this job in particular. Just 3 weeks later.
Say what now?
3 weeks later. Not even like, okay, we're going to conquer fears, like even a few months later or something. No, 3 weeks later. And meanwhile, his Chris's fiance, who we meet in the beginning of the film, and there's kind of this romantic plot that's supposed to be driving, our the emotional toll of seeing Chris in turmoil here too. She's just, I don't know, cool with it. Couldn't be me, ma'am. That would have been an immediate, it's me or the death wish, like a death wish conversation.
Wow. An ultimatum.
Yeah.
No, I would not have been on board with that. Now, as intense as the story is, the film, it isn't perfect. I mean, again, it wasn't even something they promoted well, like widely. Again, this was the first I'd heard of it, and frankly, I'd never heard of the documentary before this either. And the acting, it was a bit hit or miss. I think Finn Cole and I guess we would say is our protagonist in the film, Chris. But some of the emotional beats, again, especially this like kind of, in my opinion, forced romantic subplot, just it didn't land for me. I honestly would have preferred a deeper dive, again, no pun intended, into what drives people to want to do such a job in the first place. To me, I think that would have been the more interesting angle than trying to anchor it in this romance plot. So, final verdict, was Last Breath worth watching? Yeah, I think so. My rating, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Again, not perfect, but it is a pretty gripping survival thriller that'll leave you questioning every life choice that involves open water. That said, it does make me wonder, why make this feature film when the documentary already exists? I don't know, maybe the whole point was to get more people to check out the doc, and if that is the case, a mission accomplished, boys, because it's been added to my watch list. Again, I had not heard of it prior to this film. All right. Well, that's my take. A short one here this time around. What do you think? Have you seen Last Breath? Were you holding your breath alongside the actors like I was through some of these sequences? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you are a returning visitor, again, I greatly appreciate the continued support. All right, and I'm gonna go not think about the ocean now for a while. And until next time, take care.